Hey, welcome back to Mono Man Fishing. And if you're new, welcome aboard. So I got a pretty good one for you today. It's called So You Want to Fish Tournaments. So if you clicked on this, obviously you're really seriously thinking about it. You're going to do it. Well, fishing tournaments not as easy as they make it look on TV. You know those pros that make it look like child's play. Eh, they've been doing it a long time, and yeah, it's just not easy. You got to ask yourself, do I have what it takes? Do I have the knowledge? Do I have the skill? All that doesn't matter. It's passion. If you want to do it, do it. Your age doesn't matter. Your equipment doesn't matter. You want the best equipment you can afford, obviously. But age and equipment doesn't matter at all. What really matters is right up here, what you got between your ears, your mental attitude. You got to get rid of your negativity. If you go to a ramp and on a tournament day and you see a guy and say, oh, Billy Bob Bassman's here. God, we're not going to have a chance. That guy always wins them. You might as well go home. I mean, you're there to win the tournament. A lot of you are there to learn. But really, back of your mind, because it's a passion, you want to win. At least getting the money. You know, I mean, that's why you're there. So get that negativity out of your mind. What you need is confidence. How do you get that confidence? Well, I can tell you this. When I show up to a tournament, I don't care if I've been to that body of water or not, in my mind, I'm confident that I can win that. I'm confident that I can go out, find a spot, and it'll have fish on it. And the lure I pick or choose to throw is the winning lure. That lure, that magical lure that you pick up and you throw in that magical spot, anybody can do it on any given day. I've gone 200 yards off a ramp and said, I have no idea, so I'm going to start right here by the ramp, and picked up a lure that for that season and water type obviously was the lure you needed because I had no idea, and caught the fish. Confidence is a big deal because when you catch that first fish of the day, hopefully early in the morning, it just raises that confidence right up right away. You're thinking, oh man, they're biting this spinner bait. I've got the spinner bait. Obviously, I've got the right color, the right type of blades. I'm fishing the right depth, the right time of year, whatever. But you get so much confidence in that bait, you're going to fish it more methodically. You're going to be proficient in everything you do. You're going to feel everything. And when you get those bites, you'll feel those bites. You'll set those fish at the good hook set, and you bring them in the boat. Confidence. It's a big factor. So get rid of your negativity and get that confidence. There's one important thing, though, you really need to remember if you want to tournament fish. You got to be a really good caster. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you and I are both going down the same bank at the same speed, the same lure, exactly the same, and you're making 100 so-so casts, once in a while you're hitting your target, sometimes you're pulling backlashes out, whatever, you're just trying to fish. But I'm going down that same bank and I'm making very proficient casts. I'm making 200 casts to your 100. I'm putting it right in spots that a fish might be in there. I'm not wasting time. I'm not picking out backlashes. I'm presenting my lure efficiently at every single spot. I'm making those casts with confidence. Who's going to catch more fish? You and your 100 casts, or me and my 200? Just the fact I'm doubling my amount of quality casts against you will make me a better fisherman. Um, Got to check out my notes all the time because I'm old, and that's what well, people have. I just want to make sure I get everything out to you. So, what do I do to make myself a better caster? I practice, 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 and not just on the water. Let's say I'm watching an old Western on TV, or probably watching a fishing show, which I do a lot, trying to pick up stuff, tips, information. So I will actually get a rod, normally my pitching rod, and I will set up cups and Tupperware bowls all around my living room, right there in front of the TV, some under a plant, tucked up under things. Don't make it easy. Because nothing comes easy. Nothing successful comes easy. So you want to put those out there, and then I'm not going to be sailing across my living room and pitching. Standing way back at the distance, anywhere from probably 20 to 40 feet back, and I'm practicing my pitching while I'm watching my show, putting it inside those cups, putting it in that Tupperware underneath that plant. I'm constantly, just while I'm watching, excuse me, so while I'm watching the show, I'm just putting that bait in those targets I set up. And as I get more proficient with it, I'll back up a little further, a little further, a little further. So, and when the weather's nice and I can go outside, or I have the time to go outside, um, now I'm standing on my pallets, my two pallets that I set up outside, setting up targets out there under bushes, uh, wherever I can, and I'm practicing my roll cast, my pitching techniques again. Still, I'll practice that. I'm practicing my underhand, my left hand. I'm practicing all kinds of casts, whatever I think is necessary, and I'm trying to keep those casts. I'm not just, what's the old saying go? Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. You pitch it in there, and not just once. Oh, I got it. All right, I'm good. No, you got to pitch it in there consistently every time. Pitch it in, drop it, shake it, pretend you're fishing. Bring it back up, grab your lure. Pitch it in, shake it, bring it back up, grab your lure. Constantly making sure. Now you make that same one cast over and over again. You're fishing at that one cast. So you want to have 3 or 4 or 5 different targets, different distances, different difficulties. One's way up under a bush. You want to be able to pitch that way up under that bush, land it in that spot, and hit your target. Do it, go from that target to that target, different targets back and forth until you can hit every target with proficiency and confidence. How that word confidence keeps coming up, it's amazing. All right, so you need to be a really good caster. Here at Model Man Fishing, we're all about the weekend angler on a budget. So I'm not saying you have to have the top of the line equipment to fish a tournament. It's absolutely not true. Walmart brands, Lew's is one of the major brands at Walmart. Lew's puts out excellent equipment that's affordable, but the equipment that you use is what you can afford. And be proficient with it, be confident in it. And that's all you really need to fish in a tournament as far as your equipment goes. And if you got electronics on your boat, you got to learn them. I mean, that's important. If you've got to be able to know what that electronic unit is telling you. One of the main things you need to know if you have a hard bottom or soft bottom. And if you can't determine the difference between a hard bottom and a soft bottom on your particular electronic brand, you need to find out how you do that. And that might be Googling. Myself, I have Humminbird and Lowrance on my boat. and I can look at any of my electronics and say, oh, that's a hard bottom right there. You need to know not only that, but if you come across a spot and it looks like maybe that's a tree down there, or is that a bait pod? You definitely need to know what bait looks like. Seeing fish, that's good that you can actually identify a fish because you really don't know what kind of species that fish is. Most likely, if you're bass fishing in a bass fishing lake that holds a lot of bass, it's going to be a bass. But you never really know. You have to be able to tell the difference between crappie, bass, bluegill, um, all the different types of fish out there. A white bass, that's a good one. You get a white bass lake, you can end up catching a lot of white bass, which is really a waste of time in a tournament. But learn those electronics, practice with them, and you do this stuff on practice day. Uh, a lot of us, I know, don't have time for practice day. You got the family, you got the job, and it's just very hard to get out and practice. But when you do go out fishing for fun with a buddy, not a tournament, that's a practice day. You know, take that time, pick out one particular thing that day you want to really work on, like your electronics, maybe your casting, uh, maybe your organization, something, and really focus on it. And that will make you a better tournament angler. Speaking of organization, that's one thing you really have to be is if you want to fish tournaments, organize. Organize in your boat, where your tackle is, organize that tackle, organize those rods, organize that equipment, organize all the things you need that you can get to quickly. You know where they are. You're not searching your boat for it. Uh, my tackle's here in the main tackle box. Every one of my trays are labeled. I have crankbaits, spinner baits, worms, weights, hooks, whatever I need. And I can open my tackle box, top here, and pull out whatever I need in an instant and put back what I'm cutting off. So I'm going to change from a jig to a Texas rig worm. Doesn't take me but just minutes. Organization. And remember, bass tournament fishing is a timed event. And I'm going to be doing a video on that here very shortly. It's going to be titled Tournament Fishing is a Timed Event. So make the most of it. Something like that. All right, so you need to be organized and you need to have confidence and you need to have the best equipment you can afford. The next thing you need to do is get time in on that water. I mean, if you're fishing one particular lake all the time, let's say I live here in Georgia, one of the closest lakes to me is Carter's Lake. I go to Carter's Lake quite often, tournaments and stuff, and other fishing opportunities. But I've learned that lake. I know where to go for this, where to go for that. I have fishing spots all over it. I have waypoints, hundreds of them, maybe too many of them. In my electronics, I have notes in my notebook, which we'll talk about that, keeping notes. But the point is, if that's all I fish Carter's, if my tournament happens to be on Blue Ridge or Lanier or a different body of water, what do I do now? So start off tournament fishing on a very familiar body of water close to your house is a really good idea because at least you have places, you have confidence in that lake, and you'll know your way around. With the mapping today, that's really not the issue. Back in the day, you should get lost in bodies of water. Yeah, I remember going down to Lake Kissimmee and just getting turned around down there. And it's not like you could bring up a map, electronic map with GPS, and it just guides you right back on your track. No, you had to break out the paper map and go, where the hell are we? We used to have handheld pocket GPS. I had one made by a company called Magellan, and it had 12 satellites, and It could tell you where you are and actually track you back to where you were, but there wasn't a map on there. It was difficult, and people got lost in tournaments, came in late, which really hurt, and sometimes even I had to get rescued because if a good tournament director, if all the boats don't check in by the end of the tournament, back then especially, there was no cell phones, there was no GPS. They had to go out and look for you, and yeah, embarrassing. But anyway, time on the water is very important. Um, Keeping a record. Let me show you here. I actually right here in my box, I have. Well, I know it. Right here I have my trusty notepad. Now, in here, I have my pen, and my paper, and everything. I put in. Oh, let me see that. A quick shot. I don't give away my secrets, but this one, for instance, was March 1st, 2025, at Carter's Lake. The weather was cold morning with calm conditions. Wind picked up in the afternoon. Water temperature was 50.02 degrees. Water clarity was 1 to 3 feet, which is pretty normal for there. Uh, Productive baits were the Racky rig and the Carolina rig. Best techniques: Carolina rig and ditches off wind protected pockets. Uh, Watermelon red flake yum cinco dipped, and dipped is because I dip it in spike it garlic dip. Searchers gives it a little bit, I think, more traction under the water. Tournament results was one fish at 1.98 pounds, one missed, and 3 to 5 bites. Special note is trolling motor went out in the middle of the day, and that's the kind of information I put down. So if we have another tournament on Carter's Lake in or around the month of March in the next couple of years, I can just go back and refer to my notes. March 15th, 2005 on Lake Weiss, all my notes. Lanier, all my lakes. And those are the kind of information I put down there. I keep this notebook, and at practice days, I come up with some good stuff. I'll put practice day, Lake Lanier, out of War Hill Ramp, weather was, and blah, 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 blah. So I go back to the tournament. I still have in my mind notes that I can look at where I'm going to go. I also have waypoints put into my fish finder GPS at spots that I've located. And then after the tournament, I notice I said after the tournament, unless you have some spectacular event happen during the tournament, I won't pull this out. I'll put waypoints in right away during the tournament, obviously. But as far as writing down the information, I'll say to the end of the day. Because again, tournament's a timed event, and you have to use the most of your time. Not use most of your time. Tournament's a timed event, and you have to use your time wisely during a tournament. But during practice, you get on some kind of bite, you'd stop, make your notes, and then I write them down because you may not remember exactly what you were doing 6 hours from that moment. You get back to the ramp, you put all your stuff away, you get home, say, oh, I'm going to make some notes. Well, it's been a while. Maybe you didn't get them all right. But notes, physical notes will help improve your tournament angling. All right. You got to fish different types of bodies with water, I'll tell you that. You know, you fish that Carter's Lake all the time, and then your next tournament's on a river system. What do you know about river fishing? It's a big difference between river bass and lake bass. What else? The number one thing I personally think you need to do is master your techniques. If you want to fish tournaments, you've got to master your techniques. And I'm not talking about 500 rods. Well, let's get realistic. 40 rods on your deck and all this stuff. You don't need all that. but you do need to be very proficient in three categories: top water, the middle water column, and the bottom. You need at least two quality techniques that you're good at. For instance, I'm a buzz bait madman and a walking bait madman. I love it. I love those two top water baits. And I've become very proficient in those baits. And that's my two go-to top water. I'm a crankbait. Mostly I like the square bill. I also love fishing a spinner bait, because a spinner bait pretty much can cover that middle water column even lower. But um, and I'm working. I'm probably not mastered, but I'm getting very proficient with a vibrating jig. And then you need a bottom technique. A jig is my favorite. Texas rig would be my second. There's other bottom techniques. Shaky head, which I need to work on, honestly. In the last couple of years, I've been shaky head. I'm going shaky head fishing with a good friend of mine uh, here this Saturday. I'm subbing for his partner in a tournament, and he is the best shaky head fisherman, hands down, that I've ever met in my life. The guy can really fish shaky head. So I learn a lot. But that's it. You got to have three, I'm sorry, you got to have two quality techniques that you're proficient and confident in for the upper water column, the top water, the middle water column, and on the bottom. That's 6 rods. I would say, as a beginning tournament angler, that's the number of rods you probably should at least have on your deck, with 2 of them for top water, 2 of them for mid-range, and 2 of them for the bottom. I hope I made that clear enough. Um, what you want to do, and just like earlier, with those techniques, those techniques, is you want to practice, 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 always practice. Um, I'm going to tell you, in my humble opinion, the list of my confidence baits that I feel I have mastered, and then I'll tell you the ones I feel like I'm still confident in, but I know I need a lot more work on. So, number one's a jig. I'll challenge anybody to come out and jig fish against me. I mean, let's go. If you just want to make it a jig tournament, let's go fish a jig. I love that bait. Texas rig soft plastic. You know what I'm talking about. Uh, Crankbaiting, Carolina rig, wacky rig, jerk bait, spinner bait, lipless bait, rattle trap, a buzz bait, mentioned that earlier, walking bait, a frog. Yeah, I have no problem throwing a frog. Underspins, I love them. And spooning. I like to spoon when the time and conditions calls for it, and the body of water I'm fishing for calls for it. Now, I'm proficient, but not still. I still need to master. I'm proficient, but I still need to master the vibrating jig. It's a relatively new lure to me. Um, the drop shot, I fish it, but I still need to master it. The shaky head, when you see somebody like Danny fish that shaky head, you just feel like a child. The wobble head, the swim bait, the blade bait, the hair jig, and an umbrella rig or an A rig. The Alabama, they call it so many things. Um, in order for me to be proficient with the bait, let's just take a jig for example, or I should say, in order for you to get proficient with a bait, you should take that bait out on a fishing day, not during a tournament. You don't practice during tournaments. So this is a day where you're just out fishing, or it's an intended practice day at a body of water you're going to be fishing. And you want to get more proficient with a jig. That's all you take. Literally, do not take any more. Take out your tackle, or be committed not to using anything else, and just a jig. I'm not saying one type of jig. You can have 4, 6 rods up there. You can have different colored jigs, different weighted jigs, a football jig, a finesse jig, a swim jig, just the different jigs. And that's all you fish all day, that jig, until you understand what the bite feels like. You understand how it goes over cover. And that way, you'll get that confidence in that bait when it does come tournament time, that when you're pitching it out there, that you feel that little tick, or you watch your line swim away and you feel nothing. Those are bites. Those are not. And with a jig, you'll set the hook as soon as you feel that tick, or you see your line. You don't wait on a jig. Or jig's not like a Texas rig curl tail worm where you feel that bite, that thump, and you go, oh, there he is, and you lower your rod down, take it up your slack till your line is tight. You feel the weight and you set the hook right through the back of his head. No, a jig is tick, zip. You don't wait. So you'll have to learn all that stuff by practicing. And once you practice, your confidence go way back up. And you take that jig to that next tournament. You're working it first thing in the morning. You get that first morning bite. Bam! You put a fish in a boat in 20 minutes, and now your confidence is through the roof. And you actually do a lot better in that tournament. So I normally keep like 6 rods on my deck when I'm fishing a tournament. And that depends on the body of water I'm fishing. It depends on the time of year or what I'm going to have tied on. So, but I'll tell you this, there's 2 baits that I will always keep on my deck year round. It's the jig and the Carolina rig. You're welcome. So here at Modern Man Fishing, we want to get engaged with you. We want you to comment, of course, subscribe and like and all that stuff. But really, I want those. I want somebody to say, "Hey, how do you fish this?" Or can I have a video on how to find fish? Can I have a video on and name it? I'll do it for you if it's within my power. I'll get out there and I'll help you guys out. So, of course, if you've got problems with my videos, I want to hear those too. Hey, I can't hear you, or whatever. I want to be engaged with you guys. I want to help you to be a better fisherman. So, thanks for watching. You know, taking your valuable time out of your day to watch this video. Hopefully, it helps you in some way. Um, I'd like to think it helped you in a lot of ways. And until next time, as always, tight lines.